The sun was shining brightly that morning, casting a warm glow over the small town nestled near the hills. The air was crisp, and birds sang cheerfully as the disabled girl carefully made her way toward the hiking trail she loved so much. She had always loved the outdoors. Even though walking was sometimes hard for her, she felt free when surrounded by trees and the sounds of nature. Today, she had her little backpack with water, snacks, and her sketchbook tucked inside. She planned to sit near the cliff edge, sketching the hills and the sky, something that always made her feel peaceful. She walked slowly, feeling the gravel crunch beneath her shoes, her mind lost in thoughts about the new drawing she wanted to create. She liked coming to this spot because it was quiet, away from the crowded streets and noisy classrooms. People rarely came here, and she enjoyed the sense of calm it gave her. She was focused on the trail ahead when she suddenly felt a chill run down her spine. Something didn't feel right. Turning her head slightly, she noticed a group of kids from her school up ahead. They were standing near the beginning of the trail, laughing and pointing at something, or maybe someone. Her heart sank as she realized they were looking in her direction. She knew them well enough. They were the ones who often made fun of her at school, mocking her for being different, for needing extra help in some classes, for being herself. Their cruel words had followed her more than once, leaving scars that didn't show on the surface. She took a deep breath and tried to steady herself. Maybe they wouldn't notice her. Maybe if she stayed calm and kept walking slowly, they would ignore her. But the closer she got, the more she realized they were moving toward her, stepping off the main path as if to block her way. Her stomach tightened, and she felt a wave of anxiety. The trail that always felt like a safe haven suddenly seemed dangerous. The bullies surrounded her before she could even think of turning around. Their faces were twisted into smirks and sneers, and she could hear the low, mocking tones of their voices. One of them stepped forward, and she could see the cruel intent in his eyes. Her body stiffened, and she instinctively took a small step backward, trying to put some space between herself and the group. Well, look who it is," one of them said. "All alone in the woods. Scared, aren't we?" The others laughed, a harsh, grating sound that made her stomach churn. She wanted to speak, to tell them to leave her alone, but her voice caught in her throat. Fear had a way of stealing words, leaving only the pounding of her heart and the trembling of her hands. She tried to remember the safe spots along the trail, the small nooks where she could hide if needed, but her mind was foggy with fear. The cliff was just a few steps ahead, a sheer drop that made her knees weak just thinking about it. She knew she had to be careful. Any wrong move could be dangerous. The trail that had always been her escape now felt like a trap. One of the bullies moved closer, intentionally stepping into her path. His shadow fell over her, and she could feel the heat of his presence, the silent threat behind the smirk. He didn't say anything at first, just watched her, waiting for her reaction. The others circled around, laughing softly but with sharp eyes that followed every twitch of her body. She hugged her backpack tightly to her chest, as if it could somehow protect her from what was coming. Her mind raced. She remembered her mother's words from that morning, telling her to stay calm, to stay aware of her surroundings, and to trust her instincts. She took a slow breath, trying to follow that advice. "I just want to go home," she thought to herself, hoping that if she didn't show fear, they might leave her alone. But deep down, she knew that this was not going to be easy. One of them, taller and more aggressive than the rest, stepped forward and blocked the narrow path completely. "Where do you think you're going?" he asked mockingly. The others laughed, egging him on. The girl felt trapped. There was no way to go back quickly without losing balance, and the cliff loomed just a few steps ahead. Her legs felt weak, but she forced herself to stand straight, her hands gripping the straps of her backpack like lifelines. Suddenly, one of the bullies grabbed a stick from the ground and waved it around, making it clear he wanted to intimidate her. She flinched and instinctively took a step back, closer to the cliff edge. Her heart pounded in her ears. She had never been this scared before. The bullies were relentless, and she realized that running might not even be an option. Her disability made sudden movements risky, and she could lose her footing easily. She remembered the few people she could call for help, but none of them were nearby. Her phone was tucked in her backpack, and reaching for it might take too long. Panic was starting to rise, but she forced herself to focus. She had faced challenges before, moments when life seemed impossible, yet she had survived. This was no different. She had to think, had to act carefully, or the situation could get much worse. The bullies began to shove each other, getting more aggressive, their laughter turning into a harsh, mocking chorus. One of them leaned toward her, clearly enjoying the fear in her eyes. She tried to step back, but her foot caught on a small rock. She stumbled slightly, and the cliff seemed even closer now. She could hear the wind whistling past the edge, and a cold fear gripped her chest. Her mind flashed to the stories she had heard about people getting hurt in the woods, accidents happening when no one was around. But this was different. This was not an accident. This was intentional. Her fear was justified, but she reminded herself to stay alert. She needed a plan, even a small one, to keep herself safe. Every second counted, and she knew she had to be smart. She looked around quickly. The trail behind her was blocked, the bullies in front, and the cliff dangerously close. Her eyes searched for anything that could help her. A branch, a rock, anything that could give her leverage or a moment to escape. Her mind worked quickly despite the fear, analyzing every possible move. She had learned over the years that even in the worst situations, thinking clearly could make the difference between safety and disaster. The tallest bully stepped even closer, a cruel grin on his face. "You think you can just walk away?" he sneered. The others laughed again, circling her like predators. Her stomach churned, but she forced herself to take a slow, deep breath. Fear was strong, but she needed clarity more than anything else right now. Panic would not help. Staying focused could. Then, just as the tension reached its peak, she remembered something important. Her screams. If she screamed loudly enough, someone might hear her. She didn't know who, but she had to try. She opened her mouth and let out the loudest, most desperate scream she could muster. The sound echoed through the trees, sharp and full of fear, carrying far down the trail. Her heart raced, and her body trembled, but she didn't stop. She kept screaming, hoping against hope that someone would hear and come to her aid. Her screams echoed through the trees, sharp and desperate, carrying further than she could have imagined. For a moment, the bullies froze, surprised that she had dared to fight back with her voice. Their laughter died down, replaced by confused glances at each other. They hadn't expected her to make a sound, much less a sound that could reach anyone else. But the tallest one, the one who had been the most aggressive, quickly recovered his smirk. "Shut up!" he yelled, stepping closer to her, trying to intimidate her into silence. The others followed, closing in, circling her like they were playing a dangerous game. She hugged her backpack tighter, feeling the straps digging into her shoulders as her heart pounded. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but she had to be careful with each step. One wrong move near the cliff could be disastrous. She took a slow breath, trying to steady her trembling hands. Her eyes darted around, searching for anything she could use. A small branch lay near her feet, broken from a tree, and she picked it up, gripping it like a staff. It wasn't a weapon, not really, but it gave her a sense of control, a small tool to defend herself if needed. The bullies laughed again, mocking her, and she could feel her fear rising. But beneath it, there was a spark of determination. She was not going to let them push her over without a fight. One of the bullies lunged toward her, trying to grab her backpack. She swung the branch to block him, and it connected with a dull thud against his chest. He staggered back, surprised by her strength. The others gasped, their laughter turning into annoyed shouts. They hadn't expected resistance. Her eyes shone with a mixture of fear and defiance. She might have been small, she might have been disabled, but she was not helpless. The cliff loomed just a few feet behind her, a sheer drop that made her stomach churn. She had to be precise with her movements, careful not to let fear dictate her actions. The bullies, seeing her resistance, grew more aggressive. They shouted insults, trying to provoke her into stepping backward, closer to the edge. She took another deep breath, reminding herself that staying calm was her only chance. Panic could be deadly here. Her mind raced. She needed to distract them, to find a way to get them off her path. Then she remembered the old stories her grandmother had told her about surviving dangerous situations by using the element of surprise. She had to be clever. She couldn't outrun them, couldn't overpower them, but she could outsmart them for a moment. She tightened her grip on the branch and swung it lightly toward the nearest one, just enough to make him flinch. "Stop!" she shouted, her voice breaking but firm. Her sudden boldness seemed to startle them. They hesitated, exchanging confused looks. That hesitation was all she needed. She stepped sideways, careful not to slip on the gravel, putting more distance between herself and the cliff's edge. Every movement had to be precise. She kept her eyes on them, ready to react at any moment. The tallest bully stepped forward again, anger flashing in his eyes. "You think you can fight us off?" he sneered. He moved quickly, trying to grab her, but she dodged to the side, keeping the branch between them. Her heart raced, but a small sense of pride surged inside her. She was holding her ground. She was not giving in, even though fear wrapped around her like a heavy blanket. The others began shouting together now, their voices echoing in the trees. They tried to surround her, but she moved with careful precision, keeping herself between the cliff and them. She could feel her legs trembling, her muscles screaming from the tension, but she refused to back down. Every step had to be calculated. She could hear the gravel crunch beneath her feet, each sound amplified by the fear coursing through her body. Suddenly, one of them made a move that made her heart stop. He lunged directly at her, trying to push her backward. She stumbled slightly, her foot catching on a small rock, but she managed to regain her balance at the last second. Her scream rang out again, louder this time, filled with sheer panic and determination. The bullies froze, momentarily shocked by her sudden cry. She saw a flicker of doubt in their eyes. Maybe they were not as invincible as they thought. Using that hesitation, she swung the branch again, more forcefully this time, aiming for the bully who had lunged at her. It made contact with his arm, and he yelped in surprise. The others hesitated, giving her just enough time to step back carefully, putting a safer distance between herself and the cliff. Her chest heaved, her breaths coming in short, quick gasps. She could feel sweat on her forehead, but there was also a sense of fierce determination building inside her. She knew she couldn't stay like this forever. She needed help, someone to come quickly. Her screams continued to echo through the trees, desperate and loud. She didn't know if anyone could hear them, but she had to try. She had no choice. Her entire focus was on survival, on buying herself enough time until someone arrived. Then she heard it. A faint sound in the distance, the low rumble of motorcycles. Her ears perked up. Could it be? Could someone have heard her cries? The bullies didn't notice it yet. They were too focused on intimidating her. Her heart leapt with hope. Maybe this could turn the tide in her favor. The motorcycles grew louder, the rumble becoming more distinct. The bullies looked around, confusion spreading across their faces. "What is that?" one of them muttered. She saw an opportunity and took a careful step to the side, keeping the branch ready to block any sudden movements. Her mind was sharp now, focused on every detail, every possible way to protect herself. The rumble of the motorcycles grew nearer, and the bullies' laughter faltered. Something was coming, something big, something that might finally stop them. The girl kept her voice loud, screaming for help, her eyes scanning for the first sight of anyone who could save her. The anticipation mixed with fear, making every second feel stretched into eternity. A figure appeared on the trail ahead, followed by another. Two bikers riding powerful motorcycles slowed down as they saw the scene. The bullies took a step back, suddenly aware that they were no longer alone. The girl felt a wave of relief wash over her, but she remained cautious. The bullies could still be dangerous, and she had to stay alert until she was completely safe. The bikers dismounted, their presence commanding attention. They moved quickly toward the bullies, who now looked uncertain and nervous. Their smirks were gone, replaced by wary expressions. The girl clutched her backpack tightly, still near the cliff but feeling a growing sense of hope. Help had arrived, and maybe, just maybe, she would get out of this alive. The tallest bully took a step back, realizing that the situation had changed. The other bullies followed suit, their confidence shaken. They exchanged hurried whispers, clearly unsure of what to do next. The girl took slow, careful breaths, feeling the tension in her body begin to ease slightly. She was still scared, but there was now a chance for safety. The bikers approached her gently, their voices calm but firm. One of them said, "You okay?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face, her body trembling from fear and adrenaline. "I'm fine," she whispered, though her voice cracked. She had been so scared, but seeing them gave her hope and a sense of security she hadn't felt moments before. The bullies, now intimidated by the bikers' presence, started to back away, muttering curses under their breath. Their power over her had vanished in the face of unexpected help. She felt a strange mix of relief and lingering fear, realizing how close she had come to real danger. The cliff behind her seemed less threatening now that someone capable of helping was near. She took another deep breath, trying to calm the rapid beating of her heart. The bikers stayed close, keeping a watchful eye on the bullies. She could feel their presence as a shield, a barrier that kept her from harm. Her mind replayed the events, the fear, the struggle, and now the hope that had arrived just in time. For the first time since the encounter began, she allowed herself a small smile. She had survived the immediate danger, thanks to her quick thinking, determination, and now the timely arrival of the bikers. Her hands slowly unclenched the straps of her backpack, letting go of some of the tension that had gripped her for what felt like hours. She was still shaken, but she was safe for now. The bikers stood beside her, scanning the area, making sure the bullies would not come back. She realized that courage came in many forms. Sometimes it was standing up, sometimes it was thinking clearly under pressure, and sometimes it was trusting that help could come when you needed it most. She had experienced all of that in the last few minutes. Her body still trembled, but her mind was clearer. She had faced a terrifying situation, resisted fear, and survived. Now, with the bikers by her side, she felt the first true sense of safety since the encounter began. The bullies were no longer a threat, and she had learned that even in the darkest moments, hope could arrive unexpectedly, giving her the strength to survive and keep moving forward. The two bikers moved quickly toward the girl, their boots crunching on the gravel of the trail. Their faces were serious, but not angry. They could see immediately that the situation was dangerous and delicate. The bullies had not expected anyone to come to her aid, and now their confidence had faltered. They looked uncertain, glancing at each other as if silently asking what to do next. The girl stayed close to the edge of the cliff, clutching her backpack, her body trembling but her eyes sharp, scanning every move. One of the bikers spoke first, his voice calm but firm. "Hey, back off. Step away from her." The tone was enough to make the tallest bully hesitate. The others looked around nervously, realizing that they had misjudged the situation. Their laughter had disappeared, replaced by uneasy murmurs. The girl could feel her heart slowing slightly, hope starting to grow inside her. The biker's presence gave her courage, but she knew she still had to be careful. Any sudden move could startle the bullies again. The bikers took positions that naturally blocked the bullies' access to her. They were taller and larger, their bodies strong and steady, and their presence alone made the bullies reconsider their next move. One of the bikers crouched slightly to be on her level. "Are you okay?" he asked gently. She nodded, swallowing hard, tears threatening to fall. Her voice was barely a whisper, but she managed, "Yes, I think so. They were trying to push me over." The biker's eyes narrowed with concern, but he remained calm, scanning the area for any sudden danger. The bullies, now realizing they were completely outmatched, began to edge back. Their confidence was gone, replaced by fear. They muttered under their breaths, glancing at the bikers for a hint of what to do next. The girl noticed how hesitant they were. She felt a small surge of pride. She had survived the initial attack, and now the bullies were finally seeing that they couldn't control her anymore. Her bravery and the bikers' intervention had shifted the balance. The bikers slowly stepped forward, making sure to keep themselves between the girl and the bullies. They didn't act aggressively but projected an air of authority that the bullies couldn't ignore. "We don't want trouble," one of the bikers said, his voice low but firm. "You need to leave now." The girl watched as the bullies glanced at each other nervously, unsure of whether to argue or flee. The power dynamics had changed entirely. What had started as a dangerous encounter now seemed like it might end safely. One of the smaller bullies muttered, We were just joking." His voice was unconvincing, even to himself. The tallest one, still smirking but clearly tense, tried to act tough. "Yeah, just having some fun," he said, though his tone lacked the confidence from before. The bikers remained calm, unyielding. Their presence was enough to make the bullies reconsider any further actions. The girl could feel a wave of relief wash over her. Help had arrived, and it had come just in time. The bikers' eyes didn't leave the bullies, and their stance made it clear that any further aggression would not be tolerated. Slowly, the bullies began to back away, muttering curses and glances over their shoulders. They realized that their attempt to intimidate the girl had completely failed. She had survived, and now they were the ones at risk of facing consequences if they continued. The girl stayed close to the bikers, feeling safer with each passing second. One of the bikers crouched a little closer to her, his voice soft and reassuring. "You're safe now. You did the right thing by screaming. It brought help." She nodded, her lips trembling. Her fear was still present, but it was mixed with gratitude and a growing sense of empowerment. She had faced danger head-on and survived. She had screamed for help, and help had come. The bullies had now retreated a safe distance away, but the bikers didn't take their eyes off them. They were careful, understanding that bullies sometimes didn't stop immediately. The girl could feel the protective aura surrounding her, the strength in these strangers who had arrived at the perfect moment. She realized that courage could come in many forms, not just from her, but from the people who were willing to step in when needed. As the tension eased slightly, one of the bikers spoke to her again. "Do you need help getting down the trail safely?" She nodded, still holding her backpack tightly. Together, they began to guide her away from the cliff, their presence steadying her nerves. Every step was careful, measured. She felt her body relax a little, knowing that someone capable and kind was by her side. The bikers were patient, giving her the time she needed to adjust and regain some balance. The bullies lingered for a moment, still unsure whether to leave completely. One of them whispered something to the tallest, who finally waved them off. Slowly, they retreated, disappearing down the trail, leaving the girl and the bikers alone. Relief washed over her, mingling with lingering fear. She had survived the immediate danger, but the memory of what could have happened stayed in her mind. She realized just how quickly life could change and how important it was to trust her instincts and call for help when needed. The bikers guided her carefully back along the trail, making sure she was steady and not at risk of slipping. They walked slowly, giving her confidence with each step. She noticed the way they looked around constantly, alert and protective. It was clear they were experienced, people who had faced danger themselves and knew how to act in tense situations. Their calmness gave her courage. She felt a mix of gratitude, relief, and newfound respect for these strangers who had intervened. As they walked, one of the bikers asked gently, "Do you want to tell us what happened?" She nodded, tears streaming down her face. She told them about the bullies, how they had tried to intimidate her, how they had cornered her near the cliff, and how she had screamed for help. The bikers listened carefully, never interrupting, their expressions a mixture of concern and understanding. They offered words of reassurance, letting her know that what had happened was not her fault and that she had acted bravely. The trail began to widen, leading to a safer area away from the cliff. The girl felt her tension slowly melt, replaced by the comforting presence of the bikers. They were careful to match her pace, ensuring she never felt rushed or unsafe. She realized that even though she had been terrified moments ago, she was now surrounded by people who truly cared about her safety. Their kindness and protection helped her feel grounded again. As they reached the bottom of the trail, The bikers checked the area one last time before turning their attention back to her. "You're safe now," one of them said softly. "Do you want us to stay until someone else comes? Or do you feel comfortable going on your own?" She thought for a moment, then nodded, knowing that she could now navigate the trail with care. The bikers stayed with her a short distance, making sure she reached a place where she could safely wait for additional help if needed. The girl looked back toward the trail and the cliff, her heart still beating fast. She realized how close she had come to real danger, and how quickly it could have turned tragic. But now she understood something important. Courage, quick thinking, and reaching out for help could make all the difference. She had survived not just because of the bikers, but because she had taken action herself. Her voice, her determination, and her careful movements had all contributed to her safety. The bikers smiled reassuringly, giving her a sense of calm and closure. They had ensured the bullies would not return immediately, and they had shown her that help could arrive when needed. The girl felt a deep sense of gratitude, mixed with pride. She had faced fear head-on, and with help, she had overcome it. She knew that this experience would stay with her, not as a source of shame or fear, but as a reminder of her own strength and resilience. As they parted ways, the girl waved, feeling a mix of relief and admiration for these unexpected heroes. She continued along the trail, now more alert but no longer paralyzed by fear. Every step she took reminded her of her courage, her quick thinking, and the kindness of the strangers who had come to her aid. She realized that while fear could be powerful, bravery and help from others could be even stronger. The sun continued to shine, the birds continued to sing, and she moved forward with a renewed sense of hope and determination. The girl's legs felt a little steadier as she continued down the trail, walking between the two bikers who kept a careful watch on her and the surrounding area. Her heart still raced from the terrifying encounter, but the sense of protection made each step feel safer. The sun was still high in the sky, casting dappled shadows across the path, and the sounds of nature seemed louder now, as if celebrating her survival. The bikers spoke softly to her as they walked, their voices calm and reassuring. "You did very well back there," one of them said. "Screaming and staying alert saved you. Most people freeze in moments like that, but you acted. That was very brave." The girl nodded, swallowing hard. She could feel the weight of the adrenaline slowly lifting from her body, replaced by a mixture of relief and pride. She had faced a dangerous situation, and though it had been terrifying, she had survived it with courage. The tallest biker, who had been leading slightly ahead, glanced back at her. "We need to make sure the bullies stay away," he said. "Sometimes kids don't understand consequences until someone steps in. We're going to make sure this stops now." The girl nodded, trusting their experience and judgment. She realized that having someone knowledgeable and strong by her side could make all the difference, not just in the moment of danger, but afterward as well. As they approached a wider clearing, the bikers stopped to scan the area. The girl took a moment to catch her breath and looked around, taking in the scene. The trail split into smaller paths leading back toward town, and she knew that this was a safer place. They were out of immediate danger, but she could still feel the tension from moments ago lingering in her chest. Her hands were still trembling slightly, and she hugged her backpack close, as if it were a shield. One of the bikers spoke to her gently. "Do you want to sit for a minute? Catch your breath?" She nodded, grateful for the pause. They found a flat patch of grass near the side of the trail where she could sit safely. The bikers remained standing, scanning the trail for any signs of the bullies or anyone else who might be nearby. The girl took slow, deep breaths, feeling the cool air fill her lungs and calm her racing heart. She looked up at the sun filtering through the trees and allowed herself a small sense of relief. As she sat, she started to reflect on what had happened. The bullies had been cruel, relentless, and terrifying, but she had managed to stand her ground. She had used her voice, her quick thinking, and her determination to survive. And then, when help arrived, she had trusted them to guide her to safety. She realized that courage could take many forms, and that asking for or accepting help was not weakness. It was strength. The bikers approached her, one kneeling slightly to meet her at eye level. "Do you know who they are?" he asked softly. She shook her head, explaining that they were from school and that she had seen them picking on other kids before. The biker nodded thoughtfully, his expression serious. "It's important that we make sure this doesn't happen again," he said. "They need to understand that actions have consequences." The girl felt a surge of gratitude for their careful handling of the situation. They weren't just strong, they were smart and considerate. They didn't yell or threaten unnecessarily, but they made it clear that the bullies couldn't continue their behavior. She realized that true protection wasn't just about strength. It was about wisdom and understanding. They stood together for a moment, scanning the area, and then one of the bikers pulled out his phone. He called a local authority figure, explaining the situation calmly and clearly. The girl listened as he spoke, feeling a sense of relief knowing that steps were being taken to ensure her safety, even after she left the trail. She realized how important it was to have people who could act responsibly and effectively when danger arose. After the call, the bikers guided her further down the trail, keeping a careful eye on her as she walked. Her confidence was slowly returning, each step making her feel stronger. She realized that her fear had not disappeared, but it had lessened, replaced by a sense of empowerment. She had survived the confrontation, and now she was learning to trust that she could continue forward safely. Along the way, the bikers offered advice on staying aware of her surroundings in the future. They spoke about the importance of knowing safe paths, staying in contact with trusted adults, and trusting her instincts when she felt uneasy. The girl listened intently, absorbing each word. She knew that these lessons were valuable and that she could use them to navigate future challenges with more confidence. As they reached the end of the trail closer to the town, the bikers slowed down, giving her a chance to take in her surroundings. She could see familiar streets and buildings in the distance, and the sense of safety grew stronger with each step. She felt a mixture of exhaustion and relief. The physical and emotional strain of the morning had been immense, but she had made it through. She realized that courage, resilience, and help from others had brought her to this point. One of the bikers knelt beside her once more, his voice gentle. "You're very brave. Remember that. Not everyone could have handled what you did today. You stayed calm, used your voice, and trusted the right people. That's strength." She nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and pride. Her hands still shook slightly, but she felt more grounded. She had faced danger and she had survived. They reached the edge of town, and the bikers made sure she knew where she was going. "Stay on the main path from here," one of them said. "Keep your phone with you, and let someone you trust know where you are. You're safe now, but it's always good to be prepared." The girl nodded, clutching her backpack, feeling the weight of their care and guidance. She realized that safety was not just about avoiding danger. It was about being aware, prepared, and supported by others when needed. Before parting ways, the bikers gave her reassuring smiles. "You did great today," one of them said. "Remember this moment. Remember that courage isn't about being fearless. It's about facing your fears and acting anyway." The girl felt warmth spread through her chest, a mix of relief, pride, and hope. She had faced a terrifying situation and come out stronger because of her own actions and the timely help of strangers who cared. As they rode away, the girl continued walking toward the safety of town. Her steps were steadier now, her mind clearer. She thought about the events of the morning, the bullies, the cliff, the fear, and the courage she had shown. She realized that even in moments of danger, she had the power to act, to survive, and to protect herself. And she had also learned that asking for help and trusting the right people was not a weakness, but a form of strength. The trail opened into a familiar street, and she could see neighbors going about their day, unaware of the dramatic events that had just taken place nearby. She felt a sense of calm return, mingled with lingering adrenaline. The bikers had left, but their guidance, protection, and reassurance stayed with her. She had learned lessons that would stay with her for a lifetime. Lessons about courage, resilience, and the importance of seeking and accepting help when needed. Her heart still beat rapidly, but it was now steadying with each step she took. The memory of fear was fading, replaced by a growing sense of empowerment. She realized that even though danger had come close, she had survived, and she had done so with courage and determination. She felt a renewed sense of confidence as she walked through town, knowing that she could face challenges in the future with the strength she had discovered within herself. She thought about her home and the safety it represented, the comfort of familiar surroundings, and the people who cared for her. The events of the morning had been terrifying, but they had also shown her the importance of courage, resilience, and support. She had learned that strength came in many forms, through action, through voice, and through the willingness to accept help from those who cared. With each step closer to home, she felt lighter, safer, and more empowered, carrying with her the lessons and experiences that would help shape her future. Once the girl reached a safer part of town, she stopped to catch her breath, leaning against a tree. The sun was still bright, but the shadows of the morning's fear had begun to fade. Her legs were tired from the walk, and her heart was finally starting to slow from the adrenaline that had carried her through the dangerous encounter. She hugged her backpack tightly, feeling the weight of both her belongings and the day's events. Each breath was a reminder that she had survived and that she was safe. The memory of the cliff, the bullies, and the moments when she had almost lost her balance played over in her mind. Her chest tightened as she thought about how close she had come to real danger. But alongside the fear, there was a growing sense of pride and relief. She had acted when it mattered, and the bikers had arrived just in time to make sure she was okay. She realized that courage wasn't about being fearless. It was about facing a frightening situation and taking the best action possible. She noticed people walking nearby, going about their day, completely unaware of what had happened on the trail that morning. It gave her a strange sense of perspective. Life went on even after terrifying moments, and people who cared would always notice when something went wrong. She reached for her phone, still tucked safely in her backpack, and dialed a trusted adult, explaining what had happened. Her voice was trembling, but she spoke clearly, recounting the events and the help she had received. The reassurance from the other end helped calm her nerves further. While waiting for a response from the adult, she reflected on the bikers who had helped her. Their presence had been calm, steady, and protective. They had not yelled or acted aggressively, but their size, confidence, and careful approach had made all the difference. She realized that strength was not just physical. It was also the wisdom and presence to act appropriately when someone is in danger. Their intervention had been timely and effective, and she felt gratitude that went beyond words. The adult she contacted promised to come meet her soon, ensuring that she wouldn't have to navigate the rest of the day alone. While waiting, she noticed her own emotions beginning to settle. The fear was still present, but it was no longer paralyzing. She felt empowered by the fact that she had acted when she needed to and had survived. Her courage had been tested, and she had risen to the challenge. After a few minutes, she saw a familiar car pull up, and the trusted adult stepped out, relief evident on their face as they approached her. She explained briefly what had happened, her voice quieter now that the immediate danger had passed. The adult listened intently, nodding, and reassured her that she was safe. They praised her for acting bravely and for seeking help when it was needed. The combination of relief and pride filled her chest, and for the first time since the morning began, she allowed herself a small smile. They walked together toward a safe place, talking calmly about the events and what had been done to ensure her safety. The adult made arrangements to report the incident to the proper authorities, so that the bullies would face consequences and would not have the opportunity to hurt anyone else. The girl listened and agreed, understanding that justice and accountability were important parts of staying safe. It was a new lesson for her, one that she realized would help protect her and others in the future. While walking, she reflected more on the importance of being aware and prepared. She thought about how quickly the situation could have become more dangerous if she had hesitated, frozen, or not screamed for help. Her survival had depended on a combination of quick thinking, courage, and the timely arrival of the bikers. She felt thankful that she had trusted her instincts and that she had not given up when faced with fear. Her mind wandered to the bikers again, imagining their expressions, the way they moved confidently to protect her, and the calm authority in their voices. She realized that heroes could come in many forms, sometimes unexpected, and sometimes strangers who appeared just when you needed them most. Their intervention had been crucial, and she carried a sense of gratitude and respect for them as she continued toward safety. As they reached a familiar part of town, the girl noticed other children playing nearby, laughing and running freely. She felt a pang of normalcy, a reminder of the everyday life that had continued while she faced danger. She was reminded that fear and courage often exist side by side, and that every day brought new challenges and new opportunities to act wisely and bravely. The adult guided her to a safe spot where she could rest and collect her thoughts. She felt the tension in her body slowly dissipate as she sat down and took a deep breath. Her hands unclenched from the backpack straps, and she felt lighter, both physically and emotionally. She realized that surviving such a frightening encounter had taught her something important about herself, that she could be brave, resilient, and resourceful even in the most challenging circumstances. She thought about what she had learned from the experience: to trust her instincts, to call for help when needed, and to remain calm under pressure. These lessons would stay with her, helping her navigate life's challenges more confidently. She also realized that accepting help was not a sign of weakness. It was a smart choice that could save her life. The bikers had shown her that, and she would not forget their kindness and wisdom. As the minutes passed, she felt her emotions settle even further. The fear was still a memory, but it no longer controlled her. She felt a growing sense of empowerment, knowing that she had survived, learned, and grown stronger from the experience. She reflected on her own courage and the courage of those who had helped her, understanding that bravery was not about being fearless but about acting despite fear. The adult stayed close, offering reassurance and a listening ear as she processed everything that had happened. They discussed the importance of reporting the incident, staying aware, and using lessons from the experience to make future decisions safely. The girl listened carefully, absorbing the advice and guidance, understanding that the steps taken now would help prevent similar situations in the future. She looked around, taking in the familiar sights of her neighborhood, feeling a renewed connection to her community and a sense of security. She realized that safety and courage were deeply connected to awareness, preparation, and the willingness to seek help when necessary. The bikers' timely intervention had shown her that strangers could be allies, and that help could appear when least expected. As the afternoon continued, she reflected on the morning's events, feeling a deep sense of gratitude and pride. She had faced danger, acted with courage, and survived. She had learned important lessons about resilience, awareness, and the value of seeking help. Most importantly, she understood that her actions mattered and that she had the power to influence outcomes even in frightening situations. Her emotions shifted from fear to empowerment, and she felt ready to face the rest of the day with a clearer mind and a stronger heart. The experience had been terrifying, but it had also been a lesson in bravery, strength, and human kindness. She realized that life could present challenges unexpectedly, but with courage, awareness, and support from others, she could navigate them safely. The adult helped her make arrangements to return home safely, ensuring that she would not be alone until she was fully secure. She felt relief wash over her, mixed with the pride of having survived and acted wisely. She knew that the morning's events would stay with her, not as a source of fear, but as a reminder of her own strength and the importance of support from others. As she finally approached home, she felt a sense of accomplishment and empowerment. She had faced one of the scariest moments of her life and had come out stronger on the other side. She realized that courage came in many forms, from her own actions to the timely help of others. She had survived, learned, and grown, carrying with her the lessons that would help her navigate life safely and confidently in the future. The girl walked slowly toward her home, feeling the warmth of the afternoon sun on her face. Each step felt lighter than the last, as if the weight of the morning's fear had finally begun to lift. Her backpack felt lighter too, not because of what was inside, but because she had survived something terrifying and had come through it stronger. She realized that the fear she had felt was real, but it no longer controlled her. She had faced it, acted with courage, and emerged wiser and more confident. As she neared the familiar streets of her neighborhood, she noticed neighbors going about their daily routines, children playing, and people talking in front of their houses. Life seemed ordinary, yet she knew that her own life had changed in subtle ways. The events of that morning had taught her lessons she would carry forever. Courage, resilience, and the importance of seeking help when needed were no longer abstract ideas. They were part of her lived experience. She paused for a moment in front of her home, looking up at the windows and the door that had always represented safety. She took a deep breath and felt gratitude swell inside her. She had survived a situation that could have been dangerous, and she had done so with quick thinking, determination, and the timely help of strangers who cared. The bikers who had arrived so unexpectedly were heroes in her eyes, their actions showing her the power of presence, kindness, and wisdom. Inside her home, she was greeted by the familiar comfort of walls she knew, the scent of home-cooked food, and the presence of loved ones who cared for her. She hugged them tightly, feeling the security that only home could provide. Her voice trembled as she recounted the events of the morning, describing the bullies, the cliff, and the fear she had felt. She also spoke about the bikers, their calm authority, and how they had guided her to safety. Her family listened intently, expressing relief, gratitude, and pride in her bravery. Sitting down later, she reflected on everything that had happened. She remembered how fear had taken over her body at first, how every step had felt precarious, and how close she had been to real danger. Yet, she also remembered how she had stayed alert, acted quickly, and screamed for help, knowing that someone might hear her. That moment of courage had changed everything. It had brought help and had given her a chance to survive. She thought about the lessons she had learned. Awareness was crucial. Noticing her surroundings and recognizing danger early had given her a head start. Courage was essential. Despite fear, she had acted decisively. Trusting others was equally important. The bikers had intervened wisely, and their help had been life-saving. These lessons were not just about surviving a dangerous encounter, they were about life. They would stay with her forever, guiding her through future challenges. The girl also considered her own strength. She realized that being disabled did not make her helpless. She had faced real danger and had made choices that ensured her safety. Her body, her mind, and her instincts had all contributed to her survival. She felt pride in her own resilience and bravery. It was a quiet, steady pride that grew stronger with each reflection. She had discovered a part of herself that she hadn't fully recognized before. The ability to face fear, act decisively, and protect herself even in the most frightening situations. Over the next few days, she began to notice changes in herself. Her confidence had grown. She walked with more assurance, spoke with more clarity, and felt a sense of empowerment she hadn't experienced before. She realized that surviving danger had taught her about inner strength in a way that everyday life rarely did. She had faced a test and passed it, and that knowledge stayed with her, shaping her perspective. The story of her encounter also spread quietly among her community. People were amazed by her bravery and the timely intervention of the bikers. She received words of encouragement and support from neighbors, teachers, and friends who had heard about the incident. Each message, each expression of concern and admiration reinforced her understanding of the importance of courage, awareness, and community. She felt a sense of belonging and safety that was reassuring and empowering. She also thought about the bullies and the choices they had made. She understood that their actions had consequences, and she hoped that they would learn from the incident. She didn't feel anger anymore, just a calm awareness that people could make poor choices, but that she could protect herself and seek help when needed. The experience had given her insight into human behavior and the importance of standing up for oneself, not through aggression, but through awareness, courage, and seeking support. In the evenings, she often sat with her sketchbook, drawing the trails, the trees, and the cliffs she had encountered that morning. She sketched not just what she had seen, but what she had felt, the fear, the courage, and the hope. Art became a way for her to process the experience, to reflect on her journey, and to transform fear into expression. Each drawing was a reminder of her resilience, her bravery, and the people who had helped her survive. She also kept in mind the lessons of trust and seeking help. The bikers had been strangers, yet their intervention had been crucial. She understood that help could come from unexpected places, and that reaching out or relying on others when needed was not a weakness. It was a vital part of safety and survival, and she carried that understanding forward into her daily life. Her perspective on fear changed too. She realized that fear was natural, but it was not permanent. Acting in spite of fear, making smart choices, and seeking help when needed were ways to manage it. She had learned to respect fear but not to be controlled by it. This lesson extended beyond the cliff and the bullies. It applied to school, social situations, and life in general. She felt more prepared to face challenges with clarity and courage. Over time, the memory of the morning became a story she could tell with strength rather than terror. She remembered the fear, but she also remembered her actions, the bikers' calm intervention, and the relief of being safe. The story became a source of empowerment, a reminder of what she could endure and overcome. It reminded her that even in frightening moments, courage, awareness, and support could make a real difference. She also reflected on the power of community. The bikers, though strangers, had been part of a larger sense of care and responsibility. They had acted decisively to protect someone in need. Her trusted adult had responded quickly and calmly. She realized that being part of a caring community, one that notices, acts, and supports, was essential for safety and growth. She felt grateful for the people around her, both known and unknown, who had contributed to her survival and recovery. As days turned into weeks, she noticed changes in her confidence and outlook on life. She walked with steadier steps, spoke with a stronger voice, and felt more capable of facing challenges. She recognized that bravery was not the absence of fear but the ability to act despite it. Each day, small moments of courage, speaking up, making choices, trusting herself, reminded her of the strength she had discovered in herself. She also began sharing her experience carefully, talking to close friends and supportive adults about what had happened and what she had learned. Her story became a source of inspiration, showing others that courage, resilience, and seeking help when needed could make a real difference. People listened, learned, and were moved by her honesty and reflection. She realized that her experience, while frightening, had the potential to help others understand the power of bravery and awareness. In her quiet moments, she would sometimes think back to the cliff, the bullies, and the bikers. She remembered the fear, but she also remembered the choices she had made, the actions that had kept her safe, and the help that had arrived just in time. These memories were no longer purely frightening. They were lessons, reminders of her strength and the kindness of others. They helped her grow stronger, more aware, and more compassionate. The girl understood that life would continue to present challenges, but she now had tools and knowledge to face them with courage. She knew that fear could be managed, that quick thinking and awareness were powerful, and that seeking help was both smart and brave. She carried these lessons with her every day, building a sense of empowerment that no one could take away. Finally, she felt a deep sense of gratitude for surviving, for learning, and for the people who had helped her. She realized that life was unpredictable, but that courage, resilience, and the kindness of others could turn dangerous moments into lessons and growth. She knew that she had emerged stronger, wiser, and more confident. Her journey had been terrifying, but it had also been transformative, leaving her with an enduring sense of strength and hope. As she looked toward the future, she felt ready to face whatever challenges came her way. She had faced fear, acted bravely, and received help when needed. She had learned that true strength was a combination of courage, awareness, and the willingness to trust and accept support. She knew that she could face life with a stronger heart, a clearer mind, and the confidence that comes from surviving, learning, and growing. The girl had not only survived the morning on the trail, she had discovered her own power and resilience, and that knowledge would guide her for the rest of her life.